Alrighty, lessons. Oh, I nearly said 7, but I meant 11. 7-11, tongue twister. Alright, we're going to look at the life course today. So, this is a concept that is fairly broad. Life course meaning the period of someone's life, right? So, fairly broad. But the specific dot point here is looking at transitions through the life course, in particular to changing rights and responsibilities. So, we're going to do a little bit of work on life stages. And then we're going to link this to the rights and responsibilities in this table below here. So, without further ado, life stages. So with changing adolescent and increased growth and maturity, as we looked at last lesson, how you guys are spending more time in education, etc., you are typically able to accept additional rights and responsibilities, such as driving, gaining employment, additional trusts and freedoms in the micro world from your parents, and even in school. As you guys get older, you're probably being treated much differently now that you are senior students as opposed to when you were junior students, right? Or even indeed when you were in primary school. So as you grow older and grow through your different life stages, you'll come to understand that with increased maturity and understanding, you can accept additional rights and responsibilities. So once you hit 18, that's things like being able to legally drink, being able to vote in elections, amongst other things. And I think I've jumped the gun because the next point here is they are usually accompanied by rituals and celebrations. So things like schoolies. So anytime you hit a sort of peak milestone in your life, you have these kind of little social rituals that we have. So schoolies celebrates the end of school. You also got tests and initiations that happen towards that sort of end of the spectrum too, when you got your HSC, your L's and your P's test, your 18th birthday party. All of those things signal the ending of one life course and the beginning of another. So it doesn't necessarily have to be related with age, but things like, say for example, ending primary school and moving into high school is a new part of your life course. Getting your first job is a new part of your life course. If you decide to go to tertiary education in university or TAFE or a private college, whatever, that's the beginning of a new life course for you. You get married, you have a kid, beginning of a new life course, etc. It always changes. However, the thing is that the older you get, the increased responsibility of that life course typically becomes. So with adulthood as well, you gain additional privileges. And I don't know if drinking is necessarily a privilege, but being able to vote in an election certainly is. And that distinguishes your status within society from others. So your status as an adult, as you hit 18, 21, changes with this society. People have different social constructed beliefs around your expectations of behaviour when you're an adult compared to when you're a child or an adolescent or teenager. However, I think our attitudes when we're talking about those social constructions to these various life stages, they can be heavily stereotyped. So there's this idea that the image of a teenager is rebellious, inexperienced, entitled young children, aggressive, and over-sexualized. That can be contrasted again with the stereotypes of the image of mature people or older people being judgmental, unempathetic, or ignorant. And so, again, all of these are very heavily stereotyped. I've met young people who I think are ignorant, unempathetic, and reluctant. And I think I've met mature people who are inexperienced, rebellious, entitled, etc. It's very much down to the individual, but typically these are the stereotypes associated with those varying life stages, and the socially constructed rights and responsibilities put on you because of these stereotypes changes as you work through the life stage. So with that being said, I want you to do this activity where I want you to list 3 ways that your rights and responsibilities are different to that of your parents, and I want you to tell me why as well, because you've got a bit of space there to do. So just pick three rights or responsibilities. So one thing might be, your parents probably had a right and responsibility to go out and earn money at a lot younger age than potentially you may have because of the nature of the workforce and what it was at the time. That's just one example. Once you have done that, I want you to look at this table. Now this table looks at the life stages, okay, and the transition through the life stage. I want you to and these are socially constructed life stages I've just put together. I think typically they're fairly accurate at this point in time given the social constructions of Western society. So we have infancy, early childhood, your childhood, adolescence where you guys are now, young adult where you will be soon, adulthood where I'm at now, yay, late adulthood, and then what we call mature age or elderly. So what I want you to do is I want you to complete this table, and the idea is I want you to write your thoughts on this, because this is going to lean into, I guess, the socially constructed stereotypes or expectations and norms that we have. So what is the typical social activity of a mature age person versus that of a young adult? Okay, so the young adult, the typical social activity might be getting blind drunk at the Gosford City Hotel, whereas for the mature age individual, it might be bowls on a Sunday morning with Patricia and David from the golf club. I don't know. Again, they're just the typical, stereotypical social activities we're associated, because I want you to, once you fill out this whole table, be comparing them with your classmates and seeing if you got similar things. So that's typical social activities. Typical behaviours are just little behaviours. So for example, adolescents, the typical behaviours is that they participate in a lot of risk taking. They might be rude, entitled, that sort of thing. Their attitude towards life that you think. So what I mean by their attitudes towards life is, what do you think the mature person's attitude towards life is compared to an early childhood's attitude towards life? Their attitude towards life might be full of things that are fun, curious, whereas the attitude towards life in adulthood might be very different. And then I want you to think about your personal attitudes towards them. So what is your attitude towards a baby? What is your attitude towards an adult? What is your stereotypical attitudes toward an old person? So fill out that table there, share it with your classmates, and then we can discuss the findings in class. That's it for this lesson. Thanks.